Anime Kiss.
What's up everyone? Blizzard's Warcraft Rumble has just been released, and I'm happy to say that first impressions of this game are already very good. Now, I'm a big fan of pretty much anything Warcraft, but I have to admit that when this game was first announced, I was a little bit skeptical of how good it would be, simply because the gameplay looked very basic. However, I downloaded this app 2 days ago, and after some very casual play, I'm happy to say that my expectations have easily been surpassed. Warcraft Rumble seems to be quite a balanced game. On one hand, you can play casually, not paying too much attention to the mechanics which are available, just picking which units you think are cool, and experimenting with what kind of combinations work out. On the other hand, this game offers enough mechanics, unit strengths, weaknesses, abilities and traits where more serious players will have more than enough content to sink their teeth into, so they can agonize over the differences or merits of picking a particular unit over and above another one, and what combinations are going to work out best. Squad selection in this game is quite limited. You simply have one spot for your leader unit or hero, and then 6 spots where you can pick units or spells. It's this limitation which I think is going to drive more serious players to be very careful about which units they pick for their team, what the trade-offs are of picking one unit above another, and for that reason I think that this game is going to have quite a healthy competitive scene. Players are bound to be posting about their best builds for certain playstyles, and to counter that, naturally, other players are going to post builds designed for countering those playstyles and those squads. The objective of this game is to destroy the enemy base or boss within a certain time, and to do that, that involves getting your troops from your end zone to the enemy end zone. This means negotiating the map, taking out any defensive turrets along the way, making sure your troops overpower the enemy troops, and simultaneously defending your base against their assaults. The tide of the match is likely to shift back and forth throughout its duration, but really, if you want to keep things going your way, then the easiest way to do this is to make sure you're deploying troops which are strong or resistant to the troops which are being deployed against you. Some units are simply better than others, but the better units have a higher gold cost for deployment. Why does this matter? Well, you'll see at the bottom of the screen there that you only have 4 units available for deployment at any given time. This means that the unit you might be wanting to deploy might not actually be available until you've chosen to deploy some other units instead. The amount of gold that you have for unit deployment increases slowly over time, so if all your units are expensive, it's going to take you a long time to cycle through your units to get to the ones that you actually want to play. However, if you choose units which are less good and cost less, then you can cycle through your unit selection much quicker and potentially be more flexible and adaptable to the units which are being played against you. This is a look at some of the units that I've been using. First up is Rend Blackhand. He is a very flexible unit because he starts off flying on a dragon, but after the dragon has been destroyed, he'll jump off and start attacking the enemies on foot. Every hero unit has an ability, and his ability is to decrease the cost of other flying units to a minimum of 2. Here we have a Tauren Warrior. Tauren Warriors are a tanky unit, and this one is particularly good at closing in on ranged units because of their charge ability. Here we have Necromancer. Necromancers deal ranged elemental damage, making them good against any armored targets or any flying targets. He also summons skeletons to protect himself, making him much less squishy. This unit is probably one of my favorites at the moment. The Gargoyle is a siege unit that flies and is armored. It has a lot of health, but it can only target turrets and the boss. It can't damage any other units. Now, a deployment cost of 4 gold might seem quite high for what is essentially a slow-moving damage sponge, but if you remember, my hero's ability is to reduce the cost of other flying units by 1, so that cost of 4 becomes a cost of 3 while my hero is active, which transforms the Gargoyle from a damage sponge into a boss-seeking missile. I've won multiple matches because a Gargoyle I deployed and then forgot about while I was focusing on another part of the map managed to make it all the way to the enemy boss and take him out single-handedly. Next up is the Safe Pilot, which is an extremely flexible unit. Essentially, it crashes into the enemies anywhere on the map, dealing half the damage of a blizzard spell in one go, and then a little gnome with an area effect blaster pops out and starts taking out any flying units or mobs that come its way. Next up we have the Footman. The Footman is an armoured squad unit whose main role is for protection of any other units or buildings behind them. They can very reliably bog down enemy units and prevent them from progressing across the map or damaging things that you don't want to be damaged. The latest addition to my team is the Drake. Drakes are a flying unit which is able to attack other flying units or ground units. They deal elemental area effect damage, which makes them pretty good at killing anything that comes their way. They are a little bit squishy for a cost of 4 gold. They don't have a lot of health, but as you remember, my hero's ability is to reduce the cost of other flying units by 1, so that 4 becomes a 3, and that enables me to quite easily spam multiple dragons at once across the map. This is a very good combination with the Gargoyles and Rend Blackhand, my hero himself. Once they have all 3 of those units deployed, they're very easily going to overwhelm the enemy unless they have a sufficient amount of anti-air defense, and even if they do, they're still going to take a heavy amount of damage in return. New units are obtained from the grid. Each unit costs 90 gold, and early in the game, that amount of gold can be obtained by completing about 3 missions. Another way of earning more gold is to participate in the PvP arena. As you progress through the ranks in PvP, you will earn tombs of experience for upgrading your units, and large quantities of gold which you can spend on new units or on purchasing copies of existing units. Copies of existing units are essential for increasing the rarity of the units which you're using. Increasing the rarity of a unit enables it to learn different traits and abilities. If you're looking to increase the experience of your units, you can participate in quests. Quests are mini-missions which are focused on combating the unit of your choice. After you complete them, you'll get bonus experience for that unit, which enables it to level up. So far, it feels like obtaining new units is relatively accessible, despite the fact that the units available in the grid for purchase is random and changes over time. Where I think that players are going to have to grind a bit is if they want to increase the rarity of their units and get access to all the different traits which are available. Running through the first few levels will give you enough resources to upgrade the rarity of your hero and earn them their first trait. You can see here that Rend Blackhand has 3 traits available: Flaming Soul, Scale and Steel, and Legionnaire. Legionnaire enables the Dragon and the Rider to operate as 2 separate units. Scale and Steel grants elemental resistance and armor, while Living Bomb triggers the Living Bomb spell as soon as the dragon is destroyed. Living Bomb costs 6 gold to cast and does a lot of damage, so having this spell cast for free is really good value for money. However, I decided to go with the Scale and Steel trait. This is because as long as Rend Blackhand is alive, he reduces the cost of other flying units, so keeping him alive as long as possible enables me to spawn as many cheap flying units as possible, which is pretty important for the playstyle my team has chosen. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment, let me know your impressions of the units that you're finding in the game so far, and I'll see you in the next video.
More bones to gnaw! Catch this! Dingo!
Nailed it! Cosmodon!
This!
Money, money, money!
Taz Dingo! This!